Hello everyone. With just a few months for board examinations to begin, in today's video I should share some tips on how to prepare for your upcoming exams and avoid some common mistakes made by students every year. But before we begin, I would like to thank you for showing interest in this video and hope it shall be useful to you. Please subscribe to this channel to not miss any of the future videos. So starting right away with the first tip, planning is very important to succeed and get the grades you are aiming for in your examination. You should always plan your studies in advance and then execute that plan to make sure you're on track. By planning your studies, I mean you should exactly know what and how you would be studying every week and every day for the next few months. Now if you're wondering, is it even possible to plan the studies in this way? Let me tell you, yes it is. Let me show you a draft plan that I've prepared for IGCSE accounting. What you need to do is, list down the main topics by referring to a good reference book and the syllabus provided by your board. Also list down the various subtopics under each main topic. Though you can plan your studies without listing the subtopics, but listing them has two advantages. Firstly, you'll be able to make a more practical and realistic plan, and secondly, in the last few days before your exam, you can revise all the subtopics without worrying last moment if you missed any. In this schedule, I have listed 21 topics and their subtopics from the syllabus. Keeping the last month before exam for revision, let's say you have 12 weeks to finish studying for all these topics. So on an average, if you complete 1 to 2 topics a week, entire syllabus can be completed on time. Also, besides each topic, you could write the deadline for completing the topic. These dates will help you make sure that you are on track. If you are not able to study as per your plan, it could be either due to an unrealistic plan or it may be due to the fact that you're not putting the required hours into study. As soon as you realize this, you should take necessary steps to help you get back on track. Now this plan has to be made for each subject you are going to appear for. The planning process may be a little time consuming, but it will be very useful during the final days before your exam. The second tip is regarding where to study from. If you have not maintained proper notes yet for all the topics, you will be confused as to where to complete your first study of the syllabus from. So make sure you're using a good reference book which is suggested specifically for your board. Reading from a book meant for other curriculum may mean that you could be reading either a lot of extra stuff not meant for your exam, or you may miss out on some portions of your syllabus. The book should have brief theory for each chapter so as to understand the basic concept and a lot of practical questions so that you can practice and become confident. During your studies, you could make your own brief notes for each chapter by noting down all the important formulae, key concepts, formats, etc. and use them later for a quick revision. The third tip is regarding how to study for the subject. This will differ for each subject and for each student. For example, in accounting, a student should actually solve as many questions as possible. It is very common for students to go through solved examples and illustrations and start feeling that they have mastered the topic. Unless you don't practice a lot of questions for all the topics, it becomes difficult to get the answers right during the examination. Then for economics, you may have to practice drawing graphs many times before you actually get them right in the exam. For theory subjects, you may have to read them multiple times to understand and remember the points. The fourth tip is regarding multiple choice questions. It is common to find students to just read the multiple choice questions and their correct options simultaneously with a misconception that it would help them. Multiple choice questions are not meant to be studied in this way. They are always concept based. In order to ace all the questions in the exam, the only way is to improve your understanding about all the key concepts in your syllabus. Some of the questions could be really tricky in the exam, so you could use other techniques like eliminating the obvious incorrect options and making the question simpler by narrowing down the options. Keep practicing a lot of multiple choice questions until you start getting most of them right, if not all. It is very common to see students using a thick compiled notes of all the past paper questions. They would just start solving random questions from past papers or solve selected topic-wise questions. There is absolutely no problem in solving past paper questions, but it should be done in a correct way. Firstly, one should only start solving past paper questions when the topic is completely understood and a few questions have already been practiced. Because these past papers are meant to be used for practicing or revising the syllabus rather than using them as a first study of the topic. Secondly, to gain maximum out of the past paper questions, always time yourself when solving them. You should be able to solve it in the required time. And lastly, it is very easy for students to give up in the middle of the solution even when they are slightly doubtful. Have you ever realized why? Because the solutions for these papers are easily available. So many students opt the easy way out and just refer to the solution without even solving the entire question. So refer to the solution only after solving the entire question, including all the sub-questions. This will definitely make you more confident in the exam. The sixth tip is the revision in the last month. According to my experience, a student can easily recollect anything that is studied in the last few days and weeks before the exam. Anything studied many months before the exam will be difficult to recollect and remember. No matter how well you've studied any topic, it is highly recommended to revise all of them during the last few days or weeks. So tentatively, you can keep the last month before the exam for revision of all the topics and subtopics. When revising, you may not have to start solving all the questions again, but a quick glance through the book or questions will be enough, as you will start recollecting all that you've studied earlier. Let's say that when revising a topic, you don't feel confident enough. You can always spend some more time, again solve some more questions and feel confident. The seventh and the last tip is that it is necessary to test yourself in an exam-like situation before going for the main exam. You should take up at least 2 to 3 mock tests. It is important to time yourself and then make sure your answers are checked and marked without any bias. This will make you realize how much more improvement is required and also make you more confident in the exam. So a quick go through of all the tips. Number 1, plan your studies well and have a written or printed plan. Number 2, use a good reference book suggested for your exams. Number 3, depending on the subject, choose how to study effectively. Practice questions, read theory many times, practice graphs, etc. Number 4, conceptual clarity is important in order to solve multiple choice questions correctly. So focus on understanding the underlying concepts for each topic. Number 5, practice past paper questions only when you have finished studying that part of the syllabus thoroughly. Do not refer to the answers unless you solve the entire question. Number 6, final revision few days or weeks before the exam is mandatory. It helps you improve confidence and makes it easy to recollect information in the exam. Number 7, take a few tests in an exam-like situation. It makes you less nervous on the final exam day.